Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. So, something I saw years before I left teaching, and which has only gotten worse since, is the complete lack of skills students have coming into the school system and when they leave upon graduation. I have several friends who are still teaching in various capacities, and they all keep telling me the same thing. Kids today lack basic skills, and they're totally correct. The real problem is the extra work that saddles teachers with, the perception that educators aren't doing enough for kids, and of course, it sets students up to fail as they grow older. To put this in perspective, my mom taught me how to read, tie my shoes, recognize shapes, open a lunchbox, and all those kinds of basic things long before I began elementary school. I came into the system prepared to learn and get started on that process. I mean, this is not a boast, but I literally had a college reading level by the time I was in fourth grade. And no, I don't expect everyone to be that advanced like I was, but so many kids don't know any of the alphabet. They can't count to 10 or know the names of colors when they begin kindergarten, thus forcing teachers to do more to not only bring them up to speed, but then get them up to mandated standards later. This creates a lot of added strain and stress on an already overburdened teacher workforce who have difficulty keeping up and meeting the demands they have placed upon their shoulders every single school year. It takes a lot of time and effort for a kindergarten teacher to get a kid up to a certain reading comprehension level by the end of a term, and that hampers their ability to meet other standards that are required of them to get kids to reach. And something that often goes unspoken is that teachers simply don't have the time to do these things. There's always too much to do and too little time to accomplish it. This is exactly why teachers are such excellent multitaskers. They have to be in order to remotely survive with the demands they toil under on a daily basis. Elementary teachers have multiple subject credentials because they teach a basic amount of all the disciplines like math, English, science, etc. Again, they have to get kids to a certain base level with every single one of those things. But they can't do that if the kids don't read. They can't do that if the learning isn't being reinforced at home either. And they certainly can't do it with having to spend the time they would normally take teaching those subjects to instead teach them how to identify the letters of the alphabet, something their parents should have taught them beforehand. What this problem does is create a domino effect that will not only harm students' future success, but it actually sets up their future teachers to fail as well. Something that actually does cause some animosity between primary and secondary teachers that doesn't get talked about very often. Because unlike elementary teachers who teach multiple subjects, the vast majority of secondary teachers are subject matter experts in a single topic, hence why you move from having one teacher in elementary school to having upwards of six or more at the middle and high school level, where you bounce between different subjects during the day. The idea is that by those grade levels, you have had sufficient basic instruction to tackle those subjects with more depth and breadth, and that's why the secondary level is set up that way. Teachers are trained at that level to be subject matter experts and grow student skills in algebra or biology. Middle and high school teachers are not equipped to teach kids how to read, and that includes English and history teachers who, by the time high school rolls around, are more trained and ready to get kids to write critical essays or have conversations about difficult topics with one another. They do not have time to teach kids how to read with the standards they likewise have to get students to meet by the time high state standardized testing rolls around. And don't get me started on how much we freaking hate those things already, since they never clearly measure what students learned in a year anyway. But the point is, the more this goes on, the worse it gets for everyone, and obviously the kids most of all. What ends up happening is that kids get socially promoted through the system year after year without really attaining the skills they need to because we don't hold students back grade levels anymore like we used to. The argument why they don't is that you're supposedly hampering the kids' social development by doing so, but by not holding them back, you're stunting their intellectual development too. It's a double edged sword. This is why most graduation rates now are made up, a thing I made a whole video on a couple of years ago. And this is only backed up by a new report from the National Assessment of Education Progress, which says, and I quote, almost half of high school seniors are now testing below basic levels in math and reading, and approximately 35% are at or above a proficient reading level, while 32% of them had a below basic reading proficiency. So, what this is saying in layman's terms is that for every 3 seniors we graduate now, only one of them is actually proficient with their reading and writing skills, and most of those are probably the honors and AP level students too. There have literally been lawsuits over this, where former students have sued their previous districts over graduating them lacking the basic skills they need to succeed in life, which, by the way, is only a fifth grade reading level because that's what government documents are written at. But what this does is devalue the point of school and actually reinforces the belief that teachers aren't doing their jobs at getting kids ready for the next grade level, even when they're already doing their best and are worn to the bone trying to make up for what the previous teacher wasn't even able to get to last school year because of that one making up for the year before that. It perpetuates a cycle that goes all the way back to kindergarten where parents aren't getting their kids ready like they used to and have shifted so much of the parenting obligations onto teachers who aren't paid to do that, nor trained on how, or given the time to do so, even if they were. Again, it all comes back to the professional babysitter mentality that I simply can't stop bringing up because it simply won't go away. But in the end, all I have to say is that teachers are doing their best, and it isn't their job to fix this. They aren't equipped to, and they're struggling to pick up everyone else's slack. They can't keep up, and they're burning out trying to. This is exactly why so many prospective educators are burning out in their student teaching now, or within just the first year or two of full time teaching, instead of within the first 5 years, as was the traditional number even just a decade ago. The stress is killing teachers' passion for the job, and it's killing the students' chance to succeed later in life to the same degree that they once could. And that needs to change, or this is only going to get worse. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe to get notified whenever I post something new. For now, though, I've been Kevin, and I will see you in the next video.